Classic elf. The classic elf is the version most people imagine when they hear the word elf. It looks almost human, but usually has pointed ears, a slender body, sharp senses, and a natural connection to magic. Classic elves often live much longer than humans, sometimes for hundreds or even thousands of years. Because of this, they usually see the world differently. A human kingdom may rise and disappear during a single elf's lifetime. They are often calm, intelligent, graceful, and highly skilled with bows or swords. But they can also appear distant because human problems seem temporary to them. This modern image was strongly shaped by fantasy stories such as The Lord of the Rings. Similar elves later appeared in Dungeons and Dragons, The Elder Scrolls, The Witcher, and countless fantasy games. What makes the classic elf special is the combination of beauty, long life, magic, and a feeling that it belongs to a world much older than humanity. High Elf. The High Elf is usually one of the oldest, most educated, and most magically powerful types of elf. High elves often live inside beautiful cities protected by mountains, forests, or magical barriers. Their society normally values knowledge, tradition, art, and control. Many high elves spend decades studying magic that a human wizard would try to learn in only a few years. This gives them powerful abilities, but it can also make them arrogant. In many stories, high elves believe their civilization is more advanced than every other culture. They may look at humans, dwarves, and even other elves as younger and less intelligent races. High elves are commonly shown wearing elegant armor, golden clothing, and carrying magical weapons. Versions of them appear in Dungeons and Dragons, Warhammer, Warcraft, and The Elder Scrolls, where the Altmer represent a proud and highly magical elven civilization. The high elf is not always evil, but its pride can make it difficult to trust anyone outside its own society. Wood Elf. The Wood Elf lives closer to nature than almost any other elven group. Instead of building enormous stone cities, Wood Elves usually create hidden villages inside forests. Their homes may be built around trees, beneath roots, or high above the ground. They are excellent hunters, archers, scouts, and trackers. A wood elf can often move through a forest without making a sound, and notice signs that an ordinary person would completely miss. Many wood elves understand animals and plants, and some can use natural magic to heal wounds, hide their presence, or control parts of the forest. They are usually less interested in politics and magical study than high elves. Their main goal is protecting their land from invaders. Wood elves appear in Dungeons and Dragons, Warhammer, The Elder Scrolls, and many other fantasy worlds. In Tolkien's stories, woodland elves also live in powerful forest kingdoms. The wood elf may seem peaceful, but inside its own territory, it can become one of the most dangerous hunters in fantasy. Dark Elf. The Dark Elf is a mysterious and often feared version of the elf. Dark elves are usually connected to underground cities, forbidden magic, shadows, or ancient betrayals. In many fantasy worlds, they separated from other elves after a religious conflict, political war, or magical disaster. Their appearance often includes gray, blue, purple, or very dark skin, pale hair, and eyes adapted to darkness. Some dark elves are expert assassins, warriors, and users of shadow magic. However, dark elves are not automatically evil. Many stories show them living under cruel leaders, or being judged because of the actions of their ancestors. In Dungeons and Dragons, the Drow are one of the most famous examples. Many Drow live in the Underdark, a dangerous world of caves and underground kingdoms. The Elder Scrolls has the Dunmer, who created their own complex civilization in the volcanic land of Morrowind. What makes the Dark Elf interesting is the conflict between its dangerous reputation and the individual who may want to escape it. Half-Elf. The half-elf is born from both human and elven ancestry. Because of this, it usually carries traits from both sides. A half-elf may have pointed ears, sharp senses, and a longer life than a human, but it normally does not live as long as a full elf. Half-elves often become skilled diplomats, travelers, adventurers, or leaders because they can understand two different cultures, but their mixed identity can also create problems. Humans may see them as too strange or too magical, while elves may see them as impatient and too connected to the human world. This can leave the half-elf feeling that it belongs everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Half-elves are especially common in Dungeons & Dragons and other role-playing games, where their mixed abilities make them flexible characters. They also appear throughout fantasy books, games, and television. The half-elf is usually less powerful than an ancient elf, but it understands human emotion, ambition, and change in ways that immortal elves sometimes cannot. Wild elf. The wild elf lives far away from cities and organized kingdoms. While wood elves still create communities and follow traditions, wild elves are usually more isolated and unpredictable. They may live in deep jungles, dangerous mountains, forgotten islands, or forests that other races refuse to enter. Their way of life focuses on survival, hunting, and protecting their tribe. Wild elves often wear simple armor made from leather, bone, wood, or materials taken directly from nature. They may use magic, but it is usually connected to spirits, animals, weather, or the land, instead of books and formal study. Some fantasy stories portray wild elves as aggressive because they attack outsiders without warning. But from their perspective, those outsiders are invading lands that their people have protected for generations. Wild elves appear in different forms across Dungeons & Dragons and other fantasy settings. They represent the elf without palaces, magical schools, or royal families. Fast, free, and shaped completely by the wilderness. Sea elf. The sea elf is an elven type adapted to living underwater or close to the ocean. Sea elves usually have blue, green, or silver skin, and some versions have webbed hands, gills, or other features that help them survive beneath the surface. They may build cities inside coral reefs, underwater caves, or ruins hidden at the bottom of the sea. Instead of horses, sea elves may ride giant fish, seahorses, or other marine creatures. They often fight with spears, tridents, nets, and magic connected to water. Some sea elves can communicate with ocean animals or control currents during battle. Their greatest enemies are usually sea monsters, underwater empires, pirates, and creatures that damage the ocean. Sea elves appear in Dungeons & Dragons and several other fantasy universes. They are usually less familiar to humans because their kingdoms are hidden where surface civilizations cannot easily reach them. The sea elf shows how the basic elven form can completely change when it develops inside a world of water instead of forests. Snow elf. The snow elf is adapted to frozen mountains, glaciers, and lands covered by ice. Snow elves are usually shown with pale skin, white or silver hair, and clothing designed for extreme cold. Their magic may allow them to control snow, create ice, or survive temperatures that would kill an ordinary human. They often live in hidden temples, frozen cities, or ancient kingdoms separated from the rest of the world. Snow elves are normally quiet and highly protective of their territory because food and resources are limited in the places where they live. One of the most tragic examples appears in the Elder Scrolls. The ancient snow elves of Skyrim lost their civilization after war and betrayal. Many of them were transformed over time into the Falmer, blind underground creatures that became very different from their ancestors. Other fantasy worlds portray snow elves as noble guardians of the North. The snow elf represents beauty and survival, but its stories are often connected to lost civilizations and secrets buried beneath the ice. Sun elf. The sun elf is usually connected to light, fire, royalty, and powerful magical traditions. Sun elves often resemble high elves, but they are normally even more focused on ancient knowledge and magical perfection. Their cities may be filled with golden towers, bright crystals, and monuments dedicated to the sun. Many sun elves become wizards, scholars, priests, or rulers. They are known for spending decades mastering a single form of magic. Their long lives allow them to plan far into the future, but this can make them slow to accept change. Sun elves are especially important in parts of Dungeons & Dragons, where they are portrayed as an old and proud elven people. They often believe they have a duty to preserve elven history and magical knowledge. However, that belief can easily become superiority. A sun elf may genuinely want to protect the world, while still believing that only elves are intelligent enough to decide how it should be protected. Moon elf. The moon elf is usually more curious, social, and adventurous than the sun elf. Instead of hiding inside ancient cities, moon elves often travel through human kingdoms and interact with other races. They may become explorers, musicians, diplomats, merchants, or wandering warriors. Their appearance is often connected to silver, blue, or pale colors, and some versions have eyes that seem to shine like moonlight. Moon elves still possess strong magical abilities, but they are generally more flexible and willing to learn from other cultures. In Dungeons & Dragons settings, moon elves are often among the most common elves seen outside elven lands. Their willingness to travel also means that they are more likely to form friendships and families with humans, which can lead to half-elven communities. The moon elf represents the side of elven culture that does not want to spend eternity protecting the past. It wants to explore the changing world and experience everything that a long life can offer. Night Elf. The night elf is strongly connected to darkness, moonlight, forests, and ancient natural magic. Unlike the dark elf, the night elf is not necessarily connected to evil or underground societies. Night elves often protect sacred forests and use the darkness as camouflage. They may be able to see clearly at night, move silently, and use magic connected to the moon, stars, animals, or dreams. The most famous night elves come from Warcraft. These ancient elves, known as the Kaldorei, created a powerful civilization and played an important role in the history of their world. After dangerous conflicts involving magic, many of them became more careful about how magical power should be used. Night elf warriors often include archers, druids, and hunters who can transform into animals or call on the forces of nature. The night elf combines the mystery of the dark elf with the natural connection of the wood elf, creating a powerful guardian that becomes most dangerous after the sun disappears. Blood Elf. The Blood Elf is one of the most recognizable elven types from the Warcraft universe. Blood Elves were once connected to a powerful High Elven kingdom. After their homeland was attacked and much of their population was destroyed, the survivors renamed themselves Blood Elves to honor those who had died. Their civilization depended heavily on magical energy, and losing its main source created a dangerous hunger for magic. Some Blood Elves searched for new sources of power, including energy that could corrupt them. Blood Elves are usually shown with elegant armor, glowing green or golden eyes, and a strong connection to arcane magic. They are intelligent, proud, and determined to rebuild what they lost. Unlike a simple evil elf, the Blood Elf is shaped by tragedy, addiction, and survival. Its people made dangerous choices, but many of those choices came from desperation. The Blood Elf shows what can happen when a beautiful and advanced civilization loses everything and becomes willing to use almost any power to survive.